Our first speaker is Patrick Horst. Pastor Patrick is one of our co-organizers. Patrick decided to come out as an atheist in 2013 after his then 6-year-old daughter came home from Sunday school and told him point blank, "You're going to hell." This heartbreaking moment forged his passion for building welcoming secular communities, so he could introduce his kids to some of the wonderful people who, just like their daddy, don't have a belief in God. When the Murfreesboro Freethinkers invited David Silverman to the area, Patrick envisioned creating an event in Nashville built around this visit. Through the efforts of a dedicated team representing multiple local secular groups, NaNoCon is the result. Patrick is the father of 2 children he is raising with their Christian mother. He is also a communications and PR director at Sunday Assembly Nashville, where he is a founding band member in 2013 playing guitar and bass. His background is Mennonite, Amish, and pacifist, but he is currently on active duty in the U.S. Army. He is a combat veteran and a member of Military Atheists and Secular Humanists, MASH, of Fort Campbell. Patrick is a former missionary kid who speaks Italian, Spanish, Arabic, and Levantine. Welcome, Patrick Horst.
Then where's your moral barometer? That's just me talking.
I
you
understand
can believe what you want to believe,
yeah.
But if you're an atheist, you're basing your goodness and morality on what?
Where's your judgment? How can you have judgment if you have no faith? And how can I trust you with power if you don't pray?
The atheists are in fact immoral.
There is nothing immoral if there's nothing in charge, because everything becomes moral.
Considering that atheism cannot possibly have any sense of absolute morality, would it not then be an irrational leap of faith for an atheist to decide between right and wrong?
I really think you live in poverty, because if you think that this world, your life, has no life outside your immediate physical self, I think you're missing something.
1, 2, 1, 2.
What if we could prove to every one of those people that they're wrong? If any of you believe that any of those people are right, that a secular person cannot have a strong sense of morality, you could be 20 minutes from changing your point of view. What if the next time somebody says to you anything to that effect, you have the words on the tip of your tongue ready to prove them wrong? Welcome to NaNoCon, everybody. Let's get started. Are we ready? How many of you guys have heard of Hemant Mehta? He was here last year, all right? He released a video on YouTube, 15 things to never say to an atheist. And the very first 2, right off the bat, are exactly what we're going to be talking about today. The first question that we hear that he talked about is, where do you get your morality? Anybody ever heard that? Right? The second question, oh, so you're an atheist? You don't believe in anything? Your life must be so empty. Well, is it? Right? Great video, watch it. The answer that Hemant gave to the first question is, well, of course we do have morals. Sometimes we just have a hard time explaining them, don't we? Right? What is it that we as non-believing people, as atheists, as nuns, what is it that we're about? How about let's put some words on that blank sheet of paper? Okay? Something that the Brights created attempts to address this question. Where do we get our morality? Very briefly, our morality is a part of our journey on this planet. It's a product of evolution and human experience, in the sense that as our species has progressed, we've learned ways that work. If we as a tribe act this way towards each other, things tend to go pretty well for us. If we don't act this way, if we act in a very different way, things don't work out so well. There's a lot of lessons learned, are there not? That's one way to describe morality, is what makes things work, okay? It's also not exclusive to human beings, and it's often misunderstood. People say, oh, you secular people or you evolutionists, you believe in survival of the fittest, law of the jungle, right? You're the biggest monkey in the jungle, you make the rules. So it's dog-eat-dog world, right? It's kind of a dire and, I don't know, rough way of explaining morality. That's not what we're about, is it? And that's not what Darwin said. What did Darwin say? Survival of the species best adapted to their environment. And we know, don't we, that our ability to work together is a key evolutionary advantage. Whether you're a colony of ants, whether you're a pack of wolves hunting together, or whether you're a tribe walking the savannah. Okay? Ability to cooperate. We also get our morality. It's across many different cultures. There's varied versions of it. And kids, even before they have the words to express it, can feel empathy, right? Let's just say something right now. Let's just acknowledge the fact that for those of us who have left religion, sometimes saying words like values kind of carries a bit of baggage because we associate it with what we've left. We associate it with somebody telling us what to do, how we should live our lives, who we can love, all those things that we've walked away from, right? But we should be able to use this type of language and own it. Why? Because we can, we should, and we must, all right? Let's just say that for starters. Religion has hijacked it. We're taking it back, all right? Principles, who needs them? We're just going to talk about this really quick. Let people know right off the bat that you're a good person. Why do we need principles? We need to be able to use that language. In other words, if we're having a conversation with somebody who does not share our worldview, and they have the point of view that they can just look down their nose at us because, oh, well, you're just a non-believer. Well, I mean, you no good, no account, can't be trusted. What do I know about you? We have to let them know right off the bat, beat them to the punch, what makes them tick. What makes us tick, what makes us tick as secular people? I'm trying to be a good person. I aspire to be a good person. As a matter of fact, these are my principles. And this is what I believe. And now we're talking, right? Shock them. Shock them, not only with the fact that you as a secular person know what you believe and why, but the way you live it makes you a kind and compassionate and oftentimes even a better person than they might be, right? So shock them, let them know what you stand for, and walk it and live it. We've often heard it said that an atheist could never be elected president. Why is that, do you think? Is it because we as atheists are bad people? Or is it because folks don't know that we're good people, right? You just have to meet enough of us, we have to be out and say it, and we also have to be able to walk it, right? So there has to be a third way. Oftentimes, religions try to paint a false dichotomy. They try to say that if you have no religion, you're like this. You got no faith, got no morals, right? You're just out there, living your life, flapping in the wind, no sense of right or wrong, no moral guidance, whatever, you're, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, or whatever they're trying to say, you're completely morally bankrupt. So they present themselves as the better alternative. Thus saith the Lord, God made you, therefore, you live according to God's morality or whatever. Now that's the solution, right? As we know, there's a whole lot of unwelcome, undesirable side effects to religious moralism, is there not? Among them, the desire and the mandate to force it on everybody else, right? So what if we could show that these two options here, no values versus religious values, what if we could show that there's a different way, a better way? And it's us as human beings deciding that we are going to be moral, not because we have to, not because God, but because it's the right thing to do. Not because God, because it's good for us, right? How about it? Okay, so people will try to say, well, you know, God's way is the only way, and we know that there's a lot of people out there that are somewhere in the middle here, not really affiliated with any one of those different points of view. You know, they want to do the right thing. They're not really cool with religion. There's a word that's come to be known for that group of people, is there not? The non-religious, the nuns, right? What if we could show the people who are just kind of like out there doing their thing that there is a better way, that there are values that we can hold as secular people, and oh, by the way, we can live them, we can show them, right? That's what we're talking about. So, moving right along. I'm going to tell you guys something from my personal story, all right? We have to be able to express what we're about effectively, quickly. Some people might call that an elevator pitch, right? Where, you know, you got 20 seconds before you hit your floor and, oh, you're an atheist? Or, you know, what are you about? And you got 20 seconds to plead your case, right? To persuade them that you actually are worth talking to, that you're somebody who knows what they're talking about. Well, to tell you a little bit about my personal story, I live about an hour up the road in Christian County, Kentucky. This is court footage from last June of myself in court with my soon-to-be ex-wife, and she was trying to say, well, it says here, her actually attorney said this in court, you're trying to take your children to a godless fellowship, hanging out with your godless friends. Well, you know that they're Christian. They should not be forced to hang out, you know. And so here we are in Christian County, Kentucky, in front of a religious judge, and the stakes are pretty high. And this is the conversation.
And you think it's healthy for your children to go to the Sunday Center?
I think it's not detrimental, and I think it's great that they can understand who their father is, know his principles, and that he's an honorable...
What are your principles? Describe them for us.
All right, atheist, what are your principles? What do you got to say for yourself? Right? It's go time. You better have a go-to move, right? Elevator pitch. Quick, concise, to the point, right? Let's see what answers we can come up with. There's a lot of resources out there, and I'm going to only talk about a few of them briefly. American Humanist Association they've been around for 75 years, done a whole lot of heavy lifting. This is 3 screenshots on my phone of the American Humanist Manifesto. They've got a lot to say, but, you know, you're in an elevator. What are you about, atheist? Well, here's my phone. You can read it. Scroll down. No, it has to be to the point, right? Quick to the punch, right? Just an example. This is from, you know, the Humanist Manifesto 3. Look it up online. The British Humanist Association, a little bit quicker to the punch, right? Believe in other people, human beings, that we all matter. Science and reason as a way of figuring out what's going on. And we believe human rights across the board. That's a little bit better, okay? Now, I get to tell you about my sweetie pie. Now, before we get started, I am going to share with you the belief system, the values that I have as one human being on this planet. So you're going to hear me talk about it. You're going to hear me talk about this because it's my sweetheart, it's my sweetie pie, right? The point I'm not trying to make to you, I'm not trying to say, this is my friend, this is why she's so awesome, this is why, you know, I appreciate who she is as a person so much, and, you know, and you can be her friend too. No, the point I'm saying is, this is a friendship. This is something that works for me. I encourage every one of you here to find your own. This is my elevator pitch. Yours might work. Other things might be important to you, or different, you know. Your situation might be different than mine, right? So you're going to hear me talk for the next 10, 15 minutes or so about my sweetie pie. The point I hope you guys walk out of here is, I really need to find my own. And if you ever want to, or if you decide you want to, I'll tell you where we can actually work on that together if you're interested, okay? So, my sweetie pie. I got a question for everybody here. As a secular person, these things on the board, are they important to you? All right? How about these ones? All right? We got a question. Are these ends in themselves, or are they means to an end? They're means to an end, right? They're tools. What's the end? Truth? I'll buy that for $1, right? Reason, scientific method, skepticism. These are all tools in our toolbox to get to the end result, which is, we hope, knowledge, truth, wisdom, the answer to what is, right? Okay? So truth is pretty important to me, and it's important to these people too, right? How about it? This right here, if in this supper, they're toasting one thing, it's the search for the truth, right? The principled, relentless, unyielding, unflinching search for the truth, oftentimes at great personal sacrifice, from Socrates to Galileo, through Madame Marie Curie, through Einstein, through Carl Sagan, right? The truth is what we're toasting. And the question that I have for you is this: what is the difference between this picture of the Last Supper, this rendition, and the original, right? Yeah. These people here, every one of them have said, we are willing to pursue the truth wherever the evidence takes us. Whereas in the original, the truth is what I say. Believe me. What a difference. How powerful is it that we are willing to pursue the truth wherever the evidence takes us? That's a conversation we're happy to have. Yep. Okay. Just as a way of illustrating it, the truth underscores everything in our academics, right? I've never been to Harvard, but I like their style. Veritas, the truth. This is not the truth, meaning that we know our understanding of it changes, it progresses, right? But we're still after it, right? It's not truth with a capital T because it's not proprietary to any one person or group, okay? And one other thing, I kind of like the fact that they have more than one book, just saying. So, trust those who seek the truth, highly doubt those who claim they found it, right? Voltaire. The scientific method and reason, as we mentioned, those are our tools. And what do they help us do? As tools, they help us figure out when we're wrong. Are we ever wrong? We have a high propensity for being wrong, right? Let's acknowledge that and let's have a mechanism to identify that. Because why? Because we're pursuing the truth. All right, so that's my first value, is the truth. We should seek it and we should speak it. Okay? So now that we've figured out a basic understanding of what the truth is about, I have an understanding of it, how do I live my life? Well, that's where my next value comes in, which is freedom. Okay? And that is something that is, the thing I love about it is that it's so shot through our DNA as a country. So many times people, rant and rave about freedom, but they don't have the slightest idea what it actually means, especially in a primary season, right? But just for the sake of argument, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that's how I'm going to define it. Life, the freedom to be who you are without fear, right? Liberty, live life your own way. To thine own self be true, right? How dear do we hold these values in this country? Do it your way, right? And the pursuit of happiness, which I'm going to define here as our ability to make our world a better place. In other words, use our freedom. That's what freedom means to me. Now, are we advocating anarchy? Is that what we're about? I do what I want, I don't care, right? Yeah, some do. And so that's a great point, right? So as somebody said, do I just go around hurting people? I don't care what happens to them? No. My ability to walk around swinging my fists wildly ends where? At the tip of somebody else's nose. John Stuart Mills, right? So it's not anarchy. So freedom, FDR talked in 1941, talked about 4 freedoms that we hold dear as a country. First of all, Freedom from fear. We talked about it. No matter who you are, no matter if you're male, female, white, black, brown, anywhere in between, if you're born straight, gay, transgendered, however you are, you have the right to be who you are without fear. And we can be unabashed about that, okay? Freedom of speech, also something near and dear to us, right? Freedom of worship. Now, we're non-religious. Are we against freedom of worship? Absolutely not, right? This is something it's another straw man argument that people throw at us. It's like, well, you guys are trying to take away my religious freedom. No, absolutely not. If grandma here wants to pray, more power to her. She can pray to whatever God in whatever way she wants to. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all. What does kind of get me riled up is when somebody, grandma or anybody else, tries to tell me how I should live my life, right? And my personal pet peeve is when people try to tell children how they should live their lives, right? Before they have the cognitive ability to really think through some of these major theological issues, right? Kid doesn't have to go to church if they don't want to. Kid doesn't have to identify as any particular faith if they don't want to, right? That kid doesn't have to get baptized if they don't want to. Fight the power. Fight the man. Viva la resistance. Right? And lastly, freedom from want. Okay? What does that mean? What I love about this, as an atheist, as a humanist, as a free thinker, is that I don't have to depend on anybody else for my plot in life or to solve my problems, right? I don't have a honey-do list. I don't have a prayer list. I have, I'm going to get shit done list, right? And see, and the beauty about it is that what does freedom look like? Freedom doesn't look like this. Freedom doesn't look like this. Freedom looks like this, right? Let's get our hands dirty. Let's solve this. Let's choose to engage our agency as human beings and do something about it, right? So freedom, that's my second value. And it's not only a wonderful privilege, it's a huge responsibility, right? And it's something that we can use this language of freedom to say that, hey, we're taking charge, we're handling our own business, and that's a great place to be able to be in. Okay? And the third value is love. Now let's put a hypothetical situation out there. Let's say I'm the CEO of a major corporation, and I decide, because it's my company, I want to pay my employees like dirt. I want to treat everybody like crap. Oh no, by the way, I'm going to pollute the environment. It's my freedom, right? I do what I want. Is it? No. If I'm a smart CEO who's worth my salt, I'm going to understand that my employees in my company, if they're sucking, if they can't make ends meet, if they got to work 2 jobs, they're not going to perform. They're probably going to, throw me under the bus or stab me in the back, customer service. You know what I'm saying? If we're one company, we're all in this together, right? And I need to treat the employees in my company in a way that reflects that. It's a bit of a stretch to call that love, but let's unpack this for a minute, right? What does this mean? It means having the understanding that we're part of something together, right? And through a lot of listening, a lot of research, I've actually come to the point where I've boiled down love, you're not going to believe this, to a mathematical formula. You ready? Let's talk math. Nobody else is talking about this. NaNoCon exclusive. All right. You ready to do some math? You plus me equals we. Now, I'm just going to let that thunderclap of wisdom wash across the room here now. No. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Who is we? We is this family, this community, this nation, this planet. We're all in this together. And we should treat each other as such. It's very simple, right? It's simple, it's not always easy, right? So why are we calling it love? What's love got to do with it? Well, pretty much everything. All right? What hurts one of us does hurt all of us, does it not? So this starts to inform conversations that happen, such as, well, is it all lives matter or is it Black Lives Matter? Of course, everybody's important. But if one member of our community is getting a pretty rough run of it, if one group within our broader community is getting beat down or is having a problem, then we all need to be concerned about it, right? Why? Because we're all in this together. And we, as secular people, we have been, but we should be at the forefront of this conversation to say, that's wrong, or that should not happen. Why? Because all lives matter. Black lives matter. Immigrant lives matter. Transgender, queer lives matter, right? Everybody, we're all in this together. And we should be absolutely unabashed about saying that. And the good news is, a lot of times we are. And I'm delighted that we as a secular community are beginning to do that. It's an exciting time to be a secular, humanist, atheist person. I love it. Okay? What's the opposite of love? Is it fuck you? No, it's just complete, total indifference to the plight and the suffering of other people, right? So love counterbalances the excesses of freedom. And there's a lot of hypotheticals that we could talk about, but I think we're starting to understand what we're talking about. So what's love got to do with it? Why are we bringing this up? As we know, religious faiths have an exclusive claim on love. They claim a monopoly on it. Say they got the market cornered, right? God is love. Jesus loves you. I'm sorry to pick on Christians, but I mean, kind of where we are. The Love Club, they've kind of claimed that they got this cornered, right? Well, we can't let them have it. Why? Because, number one, it's too damn important. That sentiment that we're all in this together, it's universal. And number two, they can't have it. Why? Because our definition is better. Is it not? When they say, thank you. When a Christian or a Muslim or anybody else says God is love, what are they saying? It's conditional. There's an in group and there's an out group. And you can join our in group if you acknowledge supremacy of God and all these different doctrinal things. It's conditional. That's not love, right? I like our definition a lot better, and we should be able to own this language, okay? Because, again, our definition is better. So, you guys have all heard that, I'm sure you might have seen the meme, God is love. Certain restrictions might apply. I think our definition is better. So, in a nutshell, my sweetie pie. Truth, seek it, speak it. Freedom for all for good. And love for humans all. Now, again, you might not like her. She might not do something for you. This is my sweetie pie. Get your own damn sweetie pie, all right? Think about it. I'm serious. We need to, as secular people, we need to have a go-to move. We need to have an elevator pitch, right? In your words, your life, your meaning, your values, figure out what that is so that next time, like in that opening video, somebody says, oh, you no account, no good atheist. Well, actually, let me tell you what I believe. I thought you never ask, right? So, kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Truth, freedom, and love. Those are my words. Might work for you. Let's find different ways of describing it. Reality, liberty, human charity. Facts, rights, the golden rule. Yeah, that works. Reason, respect, reciprocity. Just another way to describe it. Science, enterprise, compassion. Study, work, help out. Okay, makes sense. Honesty plus justice equals peace. We're all kind of getting, in a lot of ways, at the same thing here. But this last one's my favorite. Know your shit. Don't be a dick. And give a fuck. See? So. We only have a few minutes left, but I want to wrap up with a few things. Anybody ever seen this caricature of President Obama? Faith, hope, and love. Faith, hope, and charity. This is a Glenn Beck thing. No big deal. Why do I have this up here? Because this is a bumper sticker on the back of the van that drives my kids to Sunday school. This is a bumper sticker in my driveway, okay? And when I was growing up, 1 Corinthians 13 sounded pretty good. Sounded pretty warm and fuzzy. Faith, hope, love. Not too bad, right? But now that we have something to compare it to, it's a whole different conversation, right? If they are saying, just accept it on faith, thus saith the Lord, right? No. I accept, like all of those people in that Last Supper picture, I accept what the evidence tells us because I value the truth. Just hope and pray in the Lord. I'll send you thoughts and prayers, right? No. As a free person, I'm going to do something about it. And charity, right? The church is a machine, is it not? They're a juggernaut. They got the organization, the charities, Salvation Army. I mean, they've been doing this for, 2,000 years? They got it down to a system, right? And that's really what makes a difference, okay? I'm going to tell you a quick story, and then we're going to wrap up. This is Pablo. I saw him in the Dishdash in the airport in Amman, and we're flying to Madrid, and it's like, man, here's some guy joined the jihad. I don't know what's going on with this guy. Well, it turns out he was sitting next to me on the airplane, and we had a conversation. He was a kid on the streets of Spain, just like so many young kids in the United States and all over the world. You could say he was a nun, right? And he met a priest, and the priest said, you want to make a difference? You come with me. And he took him to Sub-Saharan Africa and just saw the poverty, the massive human need. And he said, this is it. The church, is how we make a difference. This is how we impact our world. This is the only way to change it, right? So he took something that is so basic to all of us and told Pablo that that is the only vehicle that addresses that desire to make the world a better place, right? Well, we need to be able to show an alternative. We need to be able to show to kids like Pablo, to nuns in the United States and everywhere else, that there is a better way. So, in other words, truth versus faith, happy to have that conversation. I think we can win that every time, right? Freedom versus love, happy to have that one too. Unfortunately, this one here is a bit of a toss-up, isn't it? It's a bit of a toss-up in the sense that at the end of the day, truth and freedom, yeah, they're all well and good, but if you're absolutely lost, got no clue about life, whoever shows you the most love is the one who you're going to pay attention to. If you're starving, if you're that kid, and a Christian missionary comes along, and they say, well, I got this faith in to believe him, yeah, whatever, it's all well and good, but, by the way, here's food. We have to be able to show that we can walk our walk just as well or better. Why? Because we do it because it's the right thing to do. So all that to say, I'm going to wrap up why this matters. We have more information out there than we ever have, and that's great. Perhaps the age of information can open the door to an age of wisdom if we take the time as people to figure out our values, identify, every one of us, our own sweetie pie, right? Perhaps new atheism, loud, vocal, present, assertive atheism, yes, can open the door and as an example, to loud, present, assertive humanism. People, atheists, or all of us, who have something to say, who aren't afraid to say it, and we can take our seat at the table of civil discourse in our democracy and say, hey, we're bringing something to the table here, and you'd be better off if you hear it, right? And the reason this is special to me is a lot of times as atheists, we kind of get a bad rap, the angry atheists. You're just out there cutting down what everybody else believes. You're cutting in on my religious freedom, right? Well, there's reasons for that. There's reasons why we need to stand up against the church and stepping on our freedoms, and that's an important conversation to have. But personally, what I found is that it's a much more fun conversation to have, much more rewarding, when instead of only fighting something, fighting against it, now we have something that we're fighting for, right? I like this quote. Fight against something and you focus on the thing you hate. Fight for something and you focus on the thing you love. I love talking about this. I've talked about this stuff with my family, my Christian family. I've talked about this with pastors, and I love sharing with people, and I'll talk about it with anybody who wants to hear it. Because I got my sweetie pie, and I want others to love her too, right? So there's going to come a time when those of us who have taken on the fight of fighting God, sound familiar? Fighting God, God someday is going to be put out of business. Someday, God is going to be discredited. And increasingly, we know that public opinion is going that way. When God is discredited, what do we have that's better as far as morality to take the place, right? What do we have that guides us in the way we live our lives? Okay? That's our sweetie pie. So here it is. Are we out of time, Gail? I think we're out of time. I'm sorry, guys, but I don't think I have time. All right, do you want to hear that? I think we're out of time, sorry.
That he's an
What are
honorable...
your principles? Describe them for us.
I believe in three things, ma'am. I believe in truth, that we should seek it in life and in science, and we should speak it to each other. I believe in freedom, that it is a wonderful privilege in this country, that we should use it wisely as a responsibility in how we choose to live our lives. And I believe in love, that we are all in this together and we should treat each other.
Do you have a spiritual belief in any higher being other than...
No, because I'm an atheist. There we go. All right, I'm good, thanks.
Patrick is not kidding around. He has been relentless in the planning of this NaNoCon. He has kept us all on track. I've never seen anybody so on fire to put together an organization like this. So let's hear it again for Patrick.